the Ravens could be without a head coach. You know what I mean? There's a chance yesterday that another NFL head coach was potentially just going to kill another head coach, and that'd be the big dog, Mike Vrabel down there in Tennessee. And we talked to Taylor Lewan about Vrabel, Coach Vrabel, and about how he acts. It's like he's in the locker room, but he's the head guy. He's making this, hey, we're all in this together. I'm the one making decisions here, setting the schedule and everything like that. And he's really captivated something within that Tennessee Titans locker room that they've never had before. I mean, now granted, Jeff Fisher was a great coach there for a long time. They had a little bit of a run a long way back. But for the most recent history, for a lot of people, the Tennessee Titans were a team that maybe could be good, but everybody knew the Colts were just going to dominate them, so they're not even in it. Much like the Bills, maybe, much like the Raiders are right now, who are a much better team, I think, than anybody's giving them credit for. Last night, they looked very, very good. But the Titans, whenever Vrabel got there, he kind of brought that team to life. He changed the entire identity. They took the culture of Vrabel, which is like a tough guy, feels like he's just a tough guy, which is how he played, how people describe him off the field. And it's been a great match between he and the Titans organization. But yesterday, when the Titans won out, stood on the Ravens thing, logo in the middle of the field. Now, I didn't know exactly what they were doing out there. It seemed like there was a lot of players, so that was a conversation that had taken place by somebody. I'm not saying Vrabel was a part of it, but I'm just saying somebody in that organization, in the locker room, said, before the game, by the way, we're all going to go ahead and jump on that thing. Now, unless they were praying to their Lord, then, by the way, we should have a completely different stance.
True.
You know, maybe they're blessing the field or whatever. I don't know if they do that every single game. I feel like if they did, this would have potentially happened beforehand, not just in Baltimore. There had been a big statement like, that's our team prayer. So I'm not 100% sure it's a team prayer. But that was a message. And Harbaugh has to go out and defend the field himself, right?
Yeah.
Which, by the way, shout out to Harbaugh for doing that.
Good for him.
But whenever you see Malcolm Butler basically saying, "Oh, fuck you," to another head coach and telling him to get the fuck out, basically, I'm like, oh my God, this Titans team is hilarious. This team is awesome. But then Vrabel comes out, and Vrabel's basically like, oh, shut up, Harbaugh. Like, if your players want to come out here and mix it up, maybe we can do that. But you should not be talking here, basically. Then after the game, everybody knows Harbaugh shooed off Vrabel. Vrabel gets the win with the Titans and looked like they were pretty dominant yesterday, although it went to overtime and Derrick Henry popped off like a 40-yarder to win it or 36-yarder to win it or whatever. That Ravens team looks different. It feels different. I think if you're from the outside looking in, you say, oh, that team doesn't look to be anywhere near what they were last year, but they still have a head coach who didn't get knocked out yesterday by another head coach, so they should look on the bright side. And if they get a win on Thanksgiving, nobody will talk about any of the shit that has happened before that Thanksgiving game, because that's all that matters in the AFC North. Even though the Steelers have a 3-game lead or whatever in the AFC North, or a 2-game lead, whatever it is at this point, that win would be one that would change the conversation about the Ravens 2020 season. That's why you can't judge them too bad, even though it looks like they are potentially dead.
Do not sleep on Harbaugh. First of all, those Harbaughs are feisty.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they are.
I would imagine those two
NFL linebacker feisty. Yeah. NFL linebacker feisty, you know, like fist fight, like that like every single day of your life feisty. Yeah.
So I think it would be a better matchup than people realize, but I would probably pay to see it.
Yeah, I think Vrabel would end that thing very quickly, and that's no disrespect to Harbaugh. That's just an NFL linebacker. I mean, that's an NFL linebacker, Rappaport. This isn't like, oh, you know, Harbaugh's a tough guy like at the YMCA. I get that. Like, this is Vrabel, who I think still does linebacker drills in practice to this moment.
Does.
Yeah, that's
just jumps right in.
Yeah, so I think even if Harbaugh, let's say Harbaugh is feisty and has good movement, you know, which we can assume he would have good movement.
Scrappy, I would say.
Probably. I think Vrabel would just eat him. Like, I think Vrabel would just eat that. Like, I don't I think he would. You don't think so?
I don't know about that. I mean, I don't think it would be fast. Maybe Vrabel would win. I'm sure he would, but I just don't think it would be. I don't think it'd be like, Derrick Henry running over a corner where it's just like, I don't think it'll be that.
I think Vrabel tackles him pretty quick now that I think about it. I think that's a pretty quick tackle, and I think full mount there. And unless Harbaugh's been practicing on jiu-jitsu, which I'm not 100% sure he is, and unless he can get it, I think Vrabel is potentially playing drums with Harbaugh's face very quickly in that thing.
I cannot believe the disrespect.
Yeah, I think
wow.
He might even take one of Harbaugh's hands with both of his hands, put it under his knee, and then take the other one and put that under his knee. And then I think he's potentially even Johnny Bones Jones' elbow. And I think that thing's over very quick.
I can't believe it. I just you really need to have Harbaugh on to say it to his face. I think would be the only fair thing.
No, listen. Hey, that would happen to me too.
Or other Harbaugh.
Hey, if I'm fighting Vrabel, that's happening to me too. What I think you are disrespecting is Vrabel here.
Yeah.
I think you're disrespecting Vrabel in this entire thing.
Don't turn it around on me.
Yeah, it's you, Rappaport.
I see what you did there.
Yeah, you just spit on Vrabel's athleticism and toughness. That's unbelievable. Yeah, that was you.
I don't know about that.
Ian Rappaport of the NFL Network came on here earlier today, and I talked about it. I said, hey, how did this come about? What are you hearing from both sides? And he said, a lot of people are discounting Harbaugh. I think Harbaugh is feisty or whatever. I said, Vrabel would speed bag Harbaugh, and he was like, the Harbaugh family, blah, blah. I'm like, nope. He didn't play middle linebacker in the NFL or whatever. He would die in it. He was like, he's tough, though. I'm like, hey, listen, maybe at the YMCA, he's a tough guy, okay? I understand that. And I assume Harbaugh could beat me up, okay? I'm not even saying that. But when you're comparing somebody who looks like he could drink a 30-pack and smoke 2 packs of cigarettes in 1 hour and is still doing middle linebacker drills as a grown-ass man, you got to put him up there as probably a guy who could eat a Harbaugh punch or two and speed bag him. And Rappaport was like, you're disrespecting Harbaugh. I was like, I think you're disrespecting Vrabel. So that's, now that you're caught up with the entire conversation, it led us to this graphic right here because we have to break this thing down. You knowing Vrabel, aside from just the obvious numbers, 6'4", 261 to 6'1", 200, he's 13 years younger than Harbaugh. He's won more Super Bowls. He has 13 years of NFL experience, and Harbaugh did not participate. What do you think, aside from this, would tell you that Vrabel's probably the head coach in the NFL you would not want to fight if you're anybody, let alone John Harbaugh?
It's not even a question, and you can call me biased or whatever. I used to work out with Vrabel when he was still playing in the league before he got into coaching. And he's one of those guys that's an absolute physical freak. He could legit stay up for 3 days straight and come in and run 20 gassers in the conditioning test and beat every single college player there. Like that's Braves. That's who he is. Like he's tough as nails. He doesn't care. He's not going to apologize, and he's very professional. He's crazy smart too. So you package that together, no, there's no chance. And this is taking nothing away from Harbaugh.
Nothing.
I wouldn't mess with him. He's a tough dude. Like I would not want to mess with him. But also Vrabel, I think he would subscribe to, the thought that, hey, if it's a fight, like there's no rules, like 0 rules. So people always think, oh, I've seen someone go up to an MMA guy, like a legit fighter, and be like, hey, so if I was getting a street fight, what do I do? And he said, kick him in the dick. That's the first thing I would do. The guy's like, what do you mean? He's like, it's a street fight. There's no rules. That's what I do. Kick him in the dick. Then I can do whatever I want with him. I said, all right. I think Vrabel he would do whatever it took to win.
The thing about Vrabel is, I think he tackles Harbaugh within the first second. Like, even while tackling, he might eat 2 punches, but maybe, hey, give Harbaugh, if he's got hands like Ali, 50 punches. If he lands while he's tackling him, maybe 10, whatever it is. I think Vrabel eats those for dinner and then tackles him and he's on the ground, and that's all she wrote for Harbaugh. They would have defensive linemen and offensive linemen would have to come get him off because Vrabel, probably still stronger than a lot of players in the NFL, still trains. It was wild to me. That was a very interesting situation. I like it, by the way, if coaches are kind of smart. Like, I'm a big fan of that. So although we're saying Harbaugh would have lost that fight, which I don't think Harbaugh should take any offense to, I would like to let him know I like it whenever coaches are mixing it up. I'm a fan of that move.
Both teams love it too, that both their head coaches are kind of standing up for it. Like it sounds like Harbaugh got upset that they were doing something around their logo, right, at the 50?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. And so Harbaugh felt like, I need to go out there and protect the field or whatever that means. And so his players probably think, hey, it's cool. Like, we understand our coach is feisty. He's not scared. And, of course, Vrabel is game for whatever you want to do. So, yeah, and then they ended it when Vrabel just tries to give him the old handshake and gets blown off. And you could see Vrabel run away just so, like, all right, cool. This isn't over, that's for sure.
Were you too surprised that no Ravens players
That's
went
what I'm
out there?
saying. That should have been the players, I think, that do that. That's why I think that was potentially what Vrabel was saying, too, by the way, was like.
Was probably say, don't talk to my players. Like, I know, I've seen coaches over time, they get really, really upset if an opposing coach tries to talk to your players.
Coach,
tell them what they should do.
Like, coach or teach them, like, this is how you should act or something.
Anything but like, hey, man, how you doing? How's the fam? Like that's especially pregame. Like, that's the most you want out of an opposing coach.